Welcome back to the deep dive. We've tackled some dense economic reports, some really sprawling historical narratives, but every so often we get a stack of sources that just completely defies easy classification.
Yeah, this is one of those times.
Today, we are plunging into a world where reality is literally shaped by puns, demons have serious vocabulary problems, and an ancient cosmic bird is orchestrating this vast political and magical cleanup, all under the guise of a single courtroom drama.
This is definitely one of those times we have to just, put aside everything we think we know about physics and jurisprudence.
Right.
Our sources, they detail this urgent mission of a particular demoness in the magical land of Xanth. And our listener, the learner, they need more than just a plot summary here. They need to understand the underlying magical mechanics and the monumental political significance of this seemingly absurd quest.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Our mission for this deep dive, is centered on tracking the Demoness Metria. She is a completely unlikely agent, and she's tasked with serving summonses for what they're calling the trial of Roxanne Roc.
Which is this pivotal event organized by the supreme cosmic entity known as the Simurgh.
And the whole thing, it looks simple on the surface, just deliver some tokens, right? But we find out really quickly that every single obstacle, every character encounter, is a custom test designed to fix centuries of problems all across Xanth.
And we absolutely have to start with the protagonist herself, Metria. I mean, she is a fascinating case study in moral duality. She's actively seeking what the sources call the stork's attention.
The stork's attention, which is a classic Xanthian idiom, right? It means what? Observation, mindfulness.
Focus, yeah. Or just, attention from the highest magical authority. To get it, she had to commit to a year of service for the good magician Humphrey, who then essentially outsourced her contract to the Simurgh for some custom tailoring.
That customization, or maybe conditioning is a better word, it's vital because Metria operates with a half-soul, which is the source of her entire identity crisis.
It is. She got this fraction of a soul by marrying her husband, Veleno, who was a former nymphomaniac, whom she now keeps in this perpetual state of deliriously happy exhaustion.
Deliriously happy. So the half-soul gives her love, loyalty, and crucially, a conscience.
It's the conscience that the Simurgh is interested in. But getting that half-soul, it immediately caused this schism. Her soulless counterpart, who fissioned off in just sheer disgust at Metria's goody-goody attitude, is Mentia.
And Mentia is Metria's true demon self.
Exactly. She's slightly crazy, ruthlessly efficient, and has absolutely no moral compass.
And this is what leads to that central kind of bizarre and persistent flaw Metria now has, a serious vocabulary deficit. She uses the wrong word constantly and then has to immediately rattle off this list of synonyms, just desperately trying to communicate clearly.
It's a recurring and sometimes, it's a tragicomic constraint. The source describes her trying to introduce her counterpart. This is the demoness Mentia, my soulless worser half, except that she has no problem with vocational.
Vocational.
And she has to immediately clarify. She goes, idiom, language, speech, expression, locution, utterance, articulation, words, you see.
Words indeed. But Mentia, the crazy one, speaks perfectly clearly. And she's often acting as Metria's ruthless, logical internal monologue, just screaming the expedient, wicked advice that Metria's conscience now stops her from taking.
Right, and we can't forget the home life logistics. This entire cosmic, time-sensitive mission is punctuated by Metria having to constantly pop back to her home castle, sometimes at great magical cost, just to make sure Veleno stays in his trance.
Because if she neglects him, the spell of happiness fades, and she risks losing her half-soul.
Which would instantly revert her to full soulless demon status. That's her precarious baseline. The Simurgh knows Metria's soul is her primary point of vulnerability and her motivation.
Okay, so she's secured her year of service. She has this custom mission from the Simurgh. And now the tests begin. And these are not just, arbitrary obstacles. They're highly personalized, cryptic challenges designed to test her capacity for non-demon logic.
And creative problem-solving under really strict constraints.
Exactly. The Simurgh forbids direct use of teleportation or floating. Metria has to move across the landscape like a mortal.
Which forces her to use her shape-shifting and her magical powers in these novel, constrained ways. The first test she faces on the way to the Good Magician's castle is the Sugar Mountain.
A mountain ring, shaped like colossal loaves of sugar. The lower slopes are solid, easy to climb, but the crest is just loose, granular sugar, deliberately engineered to cascade down.
So when she reaches the top, she gets dumped straight into the moat, which has this hostile magical kick.
The kick is the key here, isn't it?
It is. The magic in the moat is designed to violently repel anything with a demon nature, so if she just tries to fight the current or use brute strength, she fails. This is where the Simurgh tests her lateral thinking.
And this is where it gets really interesting. She doesn't fight the magic directly.
No, she fights its composition. She starts scooping the loose sugar down the slope, creating this sweet avalanche that just plunges right into the moat. I mean, Mentia is probably screaming that this is a total waste of time, but Metria just keeps going.
And the logic works. She correctly deduces that by introducing this massive amount of sweet, inert material, the sugar, she's diluting the magical hostility. She's denaturing its kick.
Right, she's reducing the strength of the magical repulsion. So instead of a violent, hostile, magical moat, it becomes this mass of sickly, sweet, sticky muck. It's disgusting, but it's chemically and magically manageable.
That's fascinating. It shows the Simurgh is looking for an agent who understands the rules of the magic well enough to bend them, not break them, using ingenuity over brute force.
And she overcame the magic through a form of, highly focused, impromptu magical chemistry.
But the tests just keep coming. It's not just a one-and-done thing.
Not at all. It ensures she hasn't just gotten lucky. Once she slogs out of that sweet muck, she faces the irritable colon challenge, a moat designed to literally eject her from the rear. Then she faces the building blocks, construction blocks that suddenly lock her into a chamber.
And she escapes those by realizing she can turn her entire head into vapor. An airhead, she jokes, and she just slips through the gaps. The continuous shift in test structure, it just makes sure Metria is constantly adapting.
She's proving to the Simurgh that she is not a one-trick pony.
So finally, she enters the castle and meets Wyra and Marianne, whose talent is summoning horse-related phenomena, including this mythical four-quartered horse, 8 bits.
And the Simurgh, who is still testing her, requires her to reach Oaf Mountain quickly, which means riding this highly specialized mount.
And this is where Metria has to deploy a secret weapon, Woe Betide.
Woe Betide is absolutely critical for this part of the mission. The sources describe her as a cute waif with only a quarter soul. She's not Metria or Mentia, but a third, temporary version of herself.
Efficient, right?
Exactly. And this identity relies entirely on, get this, weaponized, pathetic misery. She uses sympathy and guilt to get what she wants.
So Metria, as Woe Betide, convinces Marianne to let her ride 8 bits to Oaf Mountain, and she's escorted by another demoness, Helen Back, who has been released specifically for this mission and is looking for a somersault, a kind of magical vacation.
The journey itself is just a testament to the hyper-literalism of Xanth. I mean, we're deep diving into the visual absurdity of the sources here. Roads literally puffing themselves up to try and impress the passengers at spaghetti intersections.
Right, and forests just spring up, grow impossibly tall in moments, and then, having done their job, they just quit.
And then the classic Xanthian pun. They literally run across a chain letter lying on the ground, spelling out this long warning about dangerous entities like the cronald creeps and the great wonderful.
And what does Woe Betide, the mischievous demon child, do?
She breaks the chain. And in Xanth, literalism means consequences. Breaking a chain letter instantly incurs a century of bad luck. Even with a quarter soul, that temptation for pure chaos is still strong.
It's a wonderful piece of foreshadowing, though. She accepts this minor consequence for a century of bad luck, implying the cost of her mission is way greater than she realizes.
The journey ends at Oaf Mountain, which the source describes as an immense emerald jewel encircling the earth. And the Simurgh explicitly forbids flying in her vicinity, forcing Woe Betide and eventually Metria to climb.
That's a crucial constraint, cosmic power overriding native demon power.
And that constraint immediately wrecks her ride. 8 bits, the four-quartered horse, is startled by the dazzling reflection of sunlight off the massive emerald cliff face. It immediately fragments into its 4 individual quarter horses and just gallops away.
So Metria is stranded, high on a slick, sheer cliff.
Woe Betide vanishes, Metria resumes her adult form, and she immediately activates her demon powers to climb the sheer emerald cliff using sucker discs on her hands and feet. This is where she faces her first direct, high-stakes physical test against an opponent, Fracto Cumulonimbus.
Fracto, the evil meteorology demon.
That's him. His specialty is elemental sabotage generating slush, colored snow, icy drafts, just ruining anything he touches. Here he is making the cliff face impossibly slippery, trying to dislodge her and send her plunging down the emerald face.
And Metria's improvisational solution here is just a magnificent illustration of applying demon talents with restraint. She realized she can't defeat Fracto's raw power
No, no,
directly.
no. So instead, she forms her entire head into a lamp with a dark bulb radiating darkness.
Radiating darkness, that's genius.
It completely conceals her position from Fracto, who can't see where to blow the gale most fiercely anymore. He's just wasting his energy on the empty air all around her.
Then she secures her footing with another piece of rapid specialized shape-shifting. She forms her nose into a prehensile snout, described as, like, a mundane elephant monster with a hard hammer at the end.
And she uses this specialized tool to crack the ice Fracto generates and secure her next hand and foothold.
It's a stunning sequence. She uses her power not for aggression, but for self-preservation and defense. She has proven to the Simurgh she can be powerful, creative, and crucially restrained.
Which concludes the physical gauntlet. But the spiritual gauntlet is next.
The test of conscience, embodied by the Figment Mara. After defeating the storm, she encounters Mara, a woman who claims to be unlost and has a hurt ankle, stuck high on the mountain.
And Mentia, her soulless half, immediately screams the logical advice. Leave her. She recognizes that helping Mara will cost Metria precious, critical mission time.
So the smart demon instinct is to prioritize the quest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But her half-soul, it compels her to help. This decision is the linchpin of the entire mission. She ignores the logical expedient advice. Mara needs help descending, but her ankle is too hurt. So Metria forms herself into an extendable ladder.
An extendable ladder.
Yeah, crossing multiple dangerous colored barrel ridges, aquamarine, heliodor, morganite, bixbite, using herself as a makeshift bridge and support structure.
So she's spending time she doesn't have, risking herself purely for a stranger.
And when Mara attempts a loud bird call to draw attention, the Simurgh intervenes immediately and banishes Mara. But Metria, fueled by her new conscience, actually protests the divine interference. She argues that Mara deserved rescue.
And that protest confirms her success.
It does. The Simurgh returns Mara briefly, stating that Mara is as safe as a figment can ever be. The purpose of the figment wasn't to trick Metria, but to see if she would prioritize a human life over her demon duties.
And then the Simurgh shatters Mentia's belief that her thoughts were hidden.
Addressing her directly. Not so, worse herself. Her conscience has served her well.
And that's the grand thesis of this deep dive.
It is. The Simurgh confirms Metria's specific strategic value. I require one with the powers of a demon and the conscience of a souled person. You will do. Metria isn't needed for raw power or for pure conscience. She's needed as a perfect pawn, because she embodies both, the ability to act ruthlessly, but choose restraint when morality demands it.
So the stage is set for the logistics phase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so having proved her conscience to the Simurgh, Metria now has to prove her efficiency and her resourcefulness. She swaps the introspection of the mountain climb for the cold, hard logistics of the Simurgh's mandate, serving the summonses for the most important trial in Xanthian history.
And the complexity starts immediately. Her first summonsee is Roxanne Roc, the defendant, who is a giant bird sitting on a massive stone egg. The sources confirm this is the Simurgh's chick, 600 years in the making, and due to hatch at any moment.
So the stakes couldn't be higher.
Right. But Roxanne Roc only speaks rock speak, which is completely unintelligible to Metria.
This is why she needs Grundy Gollum.
Exactly. He's listed on a token specifically as translator. So Grundy is now tied to Metria's mission, forced to accompany her to bridge that linguistic gap, not just for the ROG, but for the entire judicial proceeding.
And we also meet the judge, Demon Professor Grossclout, who is terrifying.
He's a bureaucrat of overwhelming, terrifying knowledge. Metria is severely intimidated, which is a symptom of her half-soul. Mentia would have fought back, but Metria's conscience makes her vulnerable to authority.
The source says she has to internally apply metallic bracing to her knees just to stand before him without collapsing.
And Grossclout immediately roars abuse at her, calling her a mush-spine for interrupting his class, though he does honor the Simurgh's summons. This illustrates the fundamental weakness of Metria's new self. Her conscience forces her to swallow abuse and prioritize the mission, even when a pure demon would have retaliated.
So next up is this historical roadblock, summoning Threnody.
The half-demoness wife of Jordan the Barbarian, a required juror. And Threnody refuses to accept the summons because of this ancient, massive grudge 438 years old against Metria. This isn't just a scheduling conflict, it's a deep personal vendetta.
And she doesn't just say no. She flees into the adjacent region of madness, a place where reality and logic just invert, which is a brilliant strategic choice by Threnody because most Xanthian magic users go insane there.
But the key lies in Metria's duality. Since Mentia's normal state is slightly crazy, Entering the region of madness reverses her condition.
Wait, so being crazy makes her sane.
Perfectly sane, hyper-competent, and able to think with supreme logical clarity, Mentia recognizes the unique opportunity immediately, realizing that here, odd truths come out.
So Mentia seizes control and orchestrates this highly theatrical, utterly brilliant plan, a dramatic reenactment of the event that caused the grudge, the seduction of King Gromdan, Threnodi's father, over 4 centuries ago.
She assigns the roles. Jordan plays the king, Threnody reluctantly plays the queen, and Mentia plays the Demoness, which was Metria. The contrast between the two versions of the story is what Mentia is after.
Okay, so the first version, the public record, Threnodi's version, it paints the Demoness, Metria, as this wicked seductress who humiliated the king by dumping a bastard baby Threnody in his lap during supper.
Which causes the queen to curse her resulting daughter. And in this context, the queen's rage and the curse are, understandable acts of spite and pain.
But Mentia's second version, the actual truth, flips the moral axis entirely.
Completely. She demonstrates that the Demoness was discreet, deeply loving, and always vanished quickly on occasions when exposure was threatened, specifically to protect the king's reputation from embarrassment.
The source material is very clear. Metria brought the baby to Gromdan in private, trusting him to give the child the best possible upbringing, and then she left, believing that demons are bad influences on children.
The humiliation was a complete misinterpretation of a loving, protective gesture. This revelation is a stroke of genius that could only come from Mentia's temporary hyper-sane state. Threnody finally understands the truth about her parentage and her mother's misplaced anger.
She's reconciled, but she still imposes a condition. She'll take the token if Mentia can lift the 4-century-old curse that prevents her from entering Castle Runia, her father's former home.
Which is a major structural problem for Xanth. That curse has endured for centuries. And Mentia, who is currently operating on Region of Madness logic, knows she cannot use direct magic to dispel a curse that old.
So she has to use the talents of others in a specific, indirect, and truly demented sequence.
We really need to slow down and explain the magical mechanics here because this is a perfect example of bending the rules. The plan involves 2 key figures, Fira, a witness with the talent to summon animals, and Princess Ida,
who is a crucial, highly constrained figure. Her talent is making true any idea she believes, but only if the source of that idea doesn't know her talent.
Exactly. So the whole demented scheme works because Metria can't tell Ida directly that the curse is gone or the magic fizzles. It has to be a chain of unknowing.
So Mentia, through Metria, is instructed to tell Fira that the curse is gone. Fira, who is oblivious to Ida's true talent, then tells Ida.
And Ida believes it. And because of the constraints of her magic, that any idea she believes becomes true, provided she doesn't know the intent behind the source, it becomes true. The curse on Castle Runa is instantly lifted through a Rube Goldberg machine of belief and ignorance.
It's so layered in its complexity, it just proves the Simurgh's genius in selecting Metria, not just for her power, but for her ability to facilitate these kinds of highly specific, nuanced magical fixes.
Absolutely. Threnody accepts the token and, escorted by the newly transformed winged centaurs Chiron and Chex, risks entering the castle. The curse is indeed lifted.
The sources say the only disruption is a minor shudder caused by a passing invisible giant, not the curse.
Right. And Threnody stands in the throne room, reconciled with the tapestry depicting her father's history and the memory of her mother. The 4-century-old curse is gone. A vital piece of Xanthian history is reclaimed, all as a byproduct of a token delivery.
But Mitria's role as a political fixer continues. Judge Grossclout tasks her with this crucial act of high-stakes diplomacy, finding a souled woman to marry his 2,300-year-old demon prince son, Vor, in exchange for the location of Jenny Elf.
Which is critical for the demon future. Grossclout wants Vor to acquire a soul through marriage, just like Metria did. He hopes that decades of soul-based domesticity will squeeze some of the mush from his skull, maturing the wildly bloodthirsty prince into a stable leader.
So the plan is this highly theatrical demon's beauty contest, staged with King Nabob, the Naga King, to pair Vor with Princess Nadanaga.
The idea is to forge a strategic alliance between the powerful Naga and demon communities.
And the execution, it draws heavily from mundane folklore about demons and romance. They put Vor and Nada to sleep with specialized potions and stage them in the Nameless Castle Tower. The belief is that upon waking, having had the chance to inspect each other up close, they will experience immediate binding yearning.
It doesn't go quite as planned, but the result is arguably better. They wake up naked, realize they are enchanted, and immediately begin improvising. They unravel Nada's infinitely long hair into a rope and escape the flying castle.
The alliance is cemented not by tender feelings, but by shared battle.
Right. They escape on an airboat, are immediately attacked by a dragon, and fight it off together. Nada transforming into a huge serpent, Vor wielding a magic sword. They agree to be betrothed immediately afterward, having proven their efficiency and compatibility in a crisis.
This is a phenomenal political success. Metria's side mission settles the dangerous demon prince Vor, and more importantly, cements a pivotal alliance between the Naga and demon communities. The foundation of the new Xanthian political landscape is being quietly rebuilt beneath the chaotic surface of the trial.
With diplomacy successfully concluded, Metria must now confront the antithesis of magic, the mundane world. She needs to retrieve the mundane's Doug and Kim, forcing her to travel to our world, a place where her very existence is unstable.
The survival mechanism for this trip is entirely dependent on Arnold Centaur and Ichabod, a mundane archivist. Arnold is the key here. He spent so long in the region of madness that his magic stabilized in this unique way. It manifested as a narrow isle of magic extending into Mundania.
And this isle is terrifyingly fragile. Arnold explicitly warns Metria, if she steps outside the narrow field centered on him, she would disappear entirely and dissolve into a mindless swirl of dust.
For an immortal demoness, that's the ultimate existential terror. It forces her to constantly monitor her position relative to Arnold.
And the mundane experience is pure culture shock. Ichabod guides them, acting as the expert on Mundanian transportation, his pickup truck. The sources describe the truck's motor growling like a dragon and requiring complex magic rituals like depressing the clutch and applying the go pedal.
We see the constraint in action immediately. Jenny Elf, who's joining the group from the world of Two Moons, tests the boundary. Stepping outside the aisle, she transforms instantly from a magical elf into a childlike girl with 5 fingers and rounded ears.
And her complex Xanthian speech becomes meaningless gibberish to mundanes outside the magic field. This confirms that Mundania doesn't just block magic, it imposes reality on magical beings, physically altering their form and language.
They successfully locate Doug and Kim at a dormitory, and Metria is keenly observing the dynamics here. Doug is easily distracted by Kim's legs and is convinced by her to leave, which Metria notes confirms that the magic power women have over men is everywhere.
Proving that even without visible spells, human women possess this universal, effective, non-Xanthian magic.
But the crisis hits that night. Metria is watching the magic box television when she notices the edge of the magic aisle is visibly shrinking.
This isn't just an inconvenience. It threatens to dissolve Arnold, Ichabod, and her own existence within hours.
The race against literal dissolution begins. Ichabod, suffering the effects of old age, combined with the rapidly fading magic, is too weak to operate the manual transmission truck.
So Metria, who had been studying the clutch and go pedal rituals, takes over. She describes the truck as a responsive, unicorn-like machine.
And Kim takes charge of navigation, directing Metria to speed cross-country through patches of sugar sand, which Metria quickly realizes is just sand, not the edible stuff, back home to avoid getting stuck.
The sense of frantic urgency here is palpable as the magic field just shrinks around them.
The escape is violent. The truck wrecks after crashing into a tree, forcing Kim to use her power of erasure, the ability to selectively wipe objects from existence to erase a boat shape from the wreckage of the truck.
This is a fantastic display of cooperative problem-solving. Metria then uses her demon powers to make the bottom of the boat slippery, allowing them to slide it across the ground, racing for the Xanthian border.
They only regain full magic when they cross back into Xanth, narrowly saving Ichabod and Arnold from collapse.
And amidst this chaos, Metria triggers yet another monumental byproduct. While tracking Jenny Elf's cat, Sammy, who can find anything except his own way home, Metria finds a fleeting bookstore, a solid box containing the Book of Kings.
Which is huge for Xanthian history. The book was stolen multiple times by an entity called the Ogre Achever, and it contains lost historical facts that even the good magician Humphrey had missed.
So by entering Jenny Elf's shared dream, which is induced by her humming talent, Metria and the others witness the truth about Xanthian lineage.
We get clarity on the kings of the Fourth Era, King Gromden, Metria's former lover, proving she was integral to the lineage.
Then the zombie master, Jonathan, who is king from 378 to 478 before abdicating.
And magician Vortex, who famously had a standing policy against being seduced by demonesses, showing how the royal line tried to cope with Metria's influence.
Metria even encounters a night cult, a male dream figure who stole half a soul from her temporarily and tried to give her a bad dream, confirming that her acquisition of a half soul has fundamentally changed her existence. She can now dream, which is a souled person's trait, not a demon's.
Okay, so the final scramble involves Metria locating China Centaur, an exiled filly. China was banished because she possessed a secret, forbidden magic talent, the ability to find magic scones.
And her conservative centaur community considered this a dirty, unacceptable magic. So in despair, Kania attempts to leap into the gap chasm, only to be rescued by Prince Che Centaur, the Centaur prince whom Chana feared she would embarrass.
And Chin demonstrates his own secret magic, the ability to make others light, allowing him to hold her midair, preventing her fall.
Arnold Centaur, using Jenny Elk's dream humming, guides Chana to realize her true desire, to become an Centaur herself, a winged centaur. The rejection she faced was due to fear, but her talent is the key to her self-actualization.
She uses her stone-finding talent one last time to locate the exact gray stone she needs. She makes a final self-directed wish. I wish I were an Centaur. The price of the wish is the loss of her talent, but the transformation is successful.
This is a monumental consequence Metria enabled. Chana gains wings, transforming into Xanthia centaur and solving the long-standing problem of creating a viable Centaur species by providing a suitable mate for Che centaur. Metria's simple mission has catalyzed a profound sociological and biological shift, ensuring the survival of the winged centaurs.
With all the political, historical, and sociological fixes complete, Metria quickly serves the final summonsees, including Marrowbones, the walking skeleton who shared his eighth soul with his family, and Sherlock Black.
And she is left with one remaining token, a formerly blank disc, now suddenly marked MPD Witness.
To find this witness, she has to enter the gourd, the dream realm. She navigates a storage place of fears. She sees a talking rye stick full of seeds, a terrifying rock that turns out to be a petrifying rock, and finally the bookshelf where the token leads her.
And the token leads her through this bizarre sequence of alternate personalities. Maestro No One, She 3, Me 2, Who 4. Each one denies they are MPD but redirects her to the next one. She realizes they are baiting her, trying to give her the runaround in the dream space.
So she finally corners Take 5, whose talent is seeing 5 seconds into the future.
And Take 5 reveals the ingenious deception. He is a general-purpose substitute, a figment designed to fill in character roles for dreams. He confirms Metria's suspicion. MPD stands for multiple personality disorder.
So the crucial realization is that the token was not meant to summon a specific person named MPD.
No, the token was blank for him, but it worked for Metria, functioning as a magical guide to lead her to the dream realm where she needed to be. Not to serve a person, but to enter the crucial location for the trial's final act. It's the ultimate piece of bureaucratic misdirection.
So the trial commences back at the Nameless Castle. Roxanne Roc is charged with violating the adult conspiracy by uttering an adult word in the presence of a minor, the Simurgh's chick.
Gray Murphy leads the prosecution, convinced of strict guilt, while Princess Ida, acting as defense, argues that the law is a donkey that should not punish honor and loyalty.
But before the arguments can conclude, the true cosmic stakes erupt. The Demoness, who the Simurgh later reveals had a cosmic bet against Roxanne's conviction, attacks the Nameless Castle using her own pawn, Fracto.
And Fracto creates this immense, turbulent wall of cloud attempting to whirl the entire castle and all the participants in the trial right out of Xanth and into a dimensional void. This is Vienius attempting cheat by ending the trial prematurely.
The Simurgh, unable to directly intervene because of the rules of the cosmic bet, commands Metria, do something.
And Metria understands that pure demon power, like her darkness bulb, won't stop a global storm. She has to use the magical wish stone given to her earlier by the Simurgh, but she knows a normal adult wish won't be strong enough, as Fracto has resisted lesser wishes before.
So she switches strategy entirely. She changes back into Woe-Betide, the innocent child with the powerful quarter soul. The wish of an innocent child is the strongest, most pure magical force available.
Woe-Betide, tears streaming down her face from the trauma and fear, pleads, "Please, Fracto, go away."
And the storm immediately dissolves into impotent drools of mist. Metria's conscience, embodied by her child self, saves Xanth from cosmic destruction. Again, the moral component, not the demon power, was the decisive factor.
With order restored, the Simurgh appears via a small illusion and delivers the ultimate revelation. Her successor is her unnamed chick, the intelligent sentient egg under Roxanne Roc, which is now due to hatch precisely 600 years after its delivery.
And the focus returns to the legal charge. A witness, Snide, reveals Roxanne's exact violation. She had squawk, which was translated as what, and then reacting to a surprise squawk, which was translated as darn.
So Roxanne's technical single-word violation was darn, a minor adult word uttered in the presence of her sentient chick.
So all this, forward darn.
Exactly. The jury, including Doug, Kim, and Threnody, retires. Using Jenny Elf's dream power, they witness two key truths during deliberation. First, Roxanne Roc's profound loyalty and sacrifice during the time of no magic, 52 years earlier, when she broke her wing, protecting the egg from crapping after the castle landed in the sea.
And second, they witness Kim's secret history, the true reason for her initial soulless state, her past relationship with Doug Human, who was a soul vampire whom she had to kill in a moment of self-defense to reclaim her own soul.
This context shows the jury the depth of moral complexity and sacrifice. The jury understands that Roxanne Roc's loyalty far outweighed her minor technical violation. Yet, despite knowing the truth, the jury returns the verdict. Roxanne Roc is found guilty as charged.
It just seems like a monumental injustice.
Until the Simurgh explains the cosmic context. The Simurgh confirms that Demoness had staked a massive cosmic bet that Roxanne would not be convicted, banking on the jury's sense of justice and mercy overriding the letter of the law.
So the guilty verdict means Metria, by ensuring the trial was completed and the judgment was strictly rendered, has actually saved Xanth by beating VES at her own cosmic game, securing the outcome the Simurgh needed.
And Judge Grosclout delivers the sentence, which is not punishment, but a reward structured to secure the future of Xanth. Roxanne Roc is assigned the critical role of being the chick's guardian, with Centaur named as her assistant, and the good magician's extensive resources placed at their disposal.
The Simurgh is effectively ensuring her successor's safe upbringing.
And the climax is instantaneous and perfectly timed. The gavel hits, the 6-century-old egg cracks, a stork arrives with a fluffy towel, and the chick emerges, calling Roxanne Nanny. The cosmic manipulative mission is complete, resulting in stability across Xanth.
And as the final piece of the political puzzle, the show concludes with a mass wedding Vor and Nada formalizing the Demonaga alliance, and Grey Morphe and Princess Ivy, whose marriage Metria had suggested to Grosclout, finally tying the knot. Every character arc is neatly resolved. Okay, let's synthesize Metria's incredible, absurd, yet supremely effective run. She began seeking only the stork's attention, focus, and recognition. But instead, the Simurgh used her as a cosmic pawn to conduct a massive, multifaceted magical and political cleanup operation.
Yeah, she performed, often accidentally, a series of monumental fixes. She lifted the 4-century-old curse on Castle Runia through sheer demented logic.
She facilitated the crucial Demonaga alliance.
Recovered lost history of the kings via a dream cat, created a new viable centaur species, and ultimately saved Xanth from a catastrophic cosmic wager, ensuring the safe arrival of the Simurgh's successor.
What's truly fascinating is that despite all the shape-shifting and the flying castles and the Mundania magic, Metria's success was rooted not in her demon abilities, but in the one thing Mentia lacked, her half-soul and the conscience it imparted.
Right. Her decision to help the Figment Mara, her willingness to resolve Threnodi's grudge, and her ability to deploy Woebetide's innocent wish were the moments that convinced the Simurgh she was the perfect blend of power and morality.
It was the ruthless efficiency of a demon, constantly mitigated by the moral compass of a souled person. The Simurgh needed a creature capable of manipulating reality, but compelled by morality.
And Metria, for all her vocational problems, delivered. Her job is complete, allowing her to finally return to Veleno and get her ultimate personal answer from the good magician.
The Simurgh has secured the future of Xanth by placing the chick, her successor, under Roxanne Roc's guardianship. But the Simurgh herself mentioned that this chick will eventually be as wise as I am. So if the current Simurgh has seen the universe die and be reborn 3 times, what unimaginable knowledge, what terrible foresight about the next cosmic reset must that chick possess? And considering Metria was instrumental in securing the chick's arrival and ensuring Xanthian stability, how much deeper was her role in preparing Xanth for that inevitable cataclysmic future? Think about that until our next deep dive.